get out here and be putting it on the window shields of people's cars. We're at the Nampa, Idaho Center in Idaho, and they're going to be doing the God and Country rally tonight. We're going to get some interviews too. We're just going to be talking to people and seeing how many people really know what patriotism is. God and country, there's nothing wrong with that. John Knox in Scotland during the Reformation said, "Give me Scotland or I die." But he was meaning, give me Scotland for Christ. So not a worship of the country, not a replacing of the principles of liberty with the state, but actually being passionate about the people who live in the country. So we're just going to be asking people, do you know what liberty is? What is a patriot? Someone who loves liberty. Let's get out here. Let's see what these people are saying, and we're going to spread the message. Infowars, fascism is upon us, and it's coming at us from all sides. And every president has just been a puppet. So we're gonna go out here and have some fun. All right.
All right.
Yeah, Infowars, baby.
Armed and ready. Infowars.com. You rock.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them.
A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government.
Laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness.
Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes.
And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed.
But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security.
The message of Dictator Obama, fascism is afoot. Going in the car for some later reading. All right, so we're just out here passing out these flyers. I just gave you one. What do you think of that?
They say he's the second coming of the Antichrist.
He's not the Antichrist, he's paving the way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thanks a lot, man. What do you think of that picture?
Gentlemen, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. There's no soliciting on property.
No soliciting?
We're not soliciting.
We're not soliciting, we're not selling anything.
Doesn't matter. There's no passing out flyers on property. You're going to have to ask you nicely to leave, please.
So we're kicked out of the contest? Yes, and we're actually trying to wake people up to the reality of the puppet masters who control our presidents, and the fact that Barack Obama is just one of the biggest puppets there is, you know.
If you want to do something like this on property, you're going to have to arrange it with the the
ones that own the property.
The ones who own the property, the ones who run the event center. You're going to have to arrange an event, arrange something. You're going to have to arrange an event, arrange something. You're going to have to arrange an event. Arrange something.
Okay,
you'll just have to call them at the number 486-1000, I believe. And
So are we breaking a law here? Is that what you're trying to say?
you're breaking what they feel is in violation of people's privacies and their good times.
And
it's your first right until it crosses somebody's line.
Oh, well, we're not harming any person.
Well, and you thought we were soliciting. We're not soliciting.
Well, regardless, if you want to pass these out, you're going to have to arrange it with the people who run the property. Sorry, gentlemen.
All right. Yep.
Have a good day.
You too.
All right.
Wow. And he doesn't even have a badge.
No, he doesn't have a badge.
Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government.
The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states.
To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
He has refused his assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good.
He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them.
He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable only to tyrants.
We're just talking to people about the state of the U.S. government. So, just briefly, if you had one sentence or two, what's your thoughts on the current presidential administration?
I'd say it's a little messed up, kind of.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm curious. Why the hell are we still in Iraq and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And supposedly, if the war's over, man, we're still doing that peace stuff. They call it peace, but people are still killing people. Nothing's changed.
So
Show
guys,
my drawing.
If I showed you, this man drew this drawing, what's your first reaction? Wow. Somewhat true?
Yeah. Just about. I used to think Obama was a good guy, and now it's kind of like, yeah, now everybody's realized, like, okay, this guy's messing up a little bit.
So, Infowars.com, if you remember that, go to that. Okay, let's keep going. There's some more people here. Hey, guys, take one of these, put it in your pocket. Hold on, look closer. Look closer. Look at the eyes, okay? Look at the eyes. Excuse me, can I get you to take my pamphlet? It's not quite what you think at first. If you take a flyer, you can always go to Infowars.com.
He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures.
He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people.
He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise. The state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within.
Hi, I'm the artist. Alex Jones, you're gonna be a star.
There's actually a video contest, it'll be on YouTube. And it's just a little bit of information to kind of expose our puppet monarch, our puppet dictator, happening with the taking away of our rights and our freedom and implementing more controls. I mean, if I showed you that picture, what would be your first reaction when you look at his eyes? Nazi. Nazi. But you see that swastika stands for fascism. Well, that just means you're merging state with business, government with corporations, right? So have you heard of the NDAA? It's the National Defense Authorization Act.
It's trying to educate the public.
Yeah.
He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers.
He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries.
He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance.
He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures.
he has effected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power.
He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation.
For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us.
For protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states.
For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world. For imposing taxes on us without our consent.
For depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury. For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses.
For abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies.
For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments.
For suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever.
Well, the only thing that we got with this guy here, and just like they said down here when they said, you know, put your heart on the American flag, I said I'm going to put my hand where the president is. He's got to go violent. He's got to get him out of there.
All right, now.
Right now.
Say it, Infowars.com.
Anything my dog would do better.
Oh!
She's a rat terrier.
That's about No, you gotta look at the eye. He's got swastikas up in there.
Oh, thank God.
Why? Okay, now, so what's the... Tell me what you think of my drawing.
You don't like Obama then?
No, because he's ruining the country.
Yeah, he's a socialist.
Well, Obama was trying to say, show that he's a dictator. So, that's my drawing. You gotta look at the eyes. So, here's kind of my artwork. You gotta see the eyes though? For me? Oh, for you?
Stay here, baby.
Yeah, but they're both about the same. Ron Paul. You're welcome. End of the day.
Hey guys, some of your flyers ended up on some people's windshields. They're not supposed to be up there.
In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people.
Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us.
We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here.
We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity.
And we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence.
They, too, have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends.
We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled,
appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare
that these united colonies are, and of right, ought to be free and independent states.
That they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown.
And that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved.
And that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce.
And to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do.
And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence,
we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Patriotism is standing up for the people, even in dire circumstances and even in the face of government punishment. So true patriotism never followed blindly along with the state, but rather that it is obedience to the principles of liberty.